Welcome to the Model Health Show. This is fitness and nutrition expert Shawn Stevenson here with my amazing, talented, beautiful co-host and producer, Jade Harrell. What's up, Jade?
What's up, Shawn?
How are you today?
I am celebrastatic.
Celebrastatic. What is that?
I am ecstatic and celebrating me today.
Oh, yes, as you should be. It's a celebration.
Yes, I'm happy and grateful for life
Yes,
today and feel
love it.
good being in this body.
I love all of that.
Yes.
Yes. And we want to make sure that we imbue some of that into you if you're not feeling that way already. I guarantee you that by the end of this show, you will be feeling
Celebrastatic.
there it is. There it is. Today we've got, I'm telling you guys, it's an incredible show lined up for you. Today we're going to be talking about 10 ways that sleep can give you a better brain. All right. So we're going to dive in and talk about the science. So we're going to talk about improving your memory, improving your focus, improving your ability to problem solve, boosting that creativity. It's going to be bananas in pajamas. It's going to be so awesome. First, let's give a huge shout out to our show sponsor, Onnit.com. Head over to onnit.com/model, and you're going to get 10% off all of your health and human performance supplements. Top 3, hemp force protein.
Check.
That's number 1. Number 2, Earth Grow Nutrients, their green superfood blend. Number 3 for me right now is their krill oil.
Is that right?
To get that DHA and the
Okay.
EPA, those essential fatty acids, those anti-inflammatory building blocks for all of your cell membranes. You have upwards of over 100 trillion cells. 100 trillion cells. And the integrity of those cells is really going to be modulated and dictated by the essential fatty acids that you have in your system or the lack thereof. So those are my top 3. Head over there, check them out, onnit.com/model for 10% off. Let's get into the iTunes review of the week.
Well, this is my favorite. 5 stars on this one from Mr. Fisker. Getting me back on track. I love this podcast, period. I live in Guatemala City and enjoy listening to you guys on my way to work and back home. I used to be a triathlete and competed in Ironman in Brazil in 2010. After that, I felt burnt and quit altogether. Years passed and I'm starting to feel the need to get back in shape. My first step was to download this podcast after listening to Shawn in the Golf Strategy School podcast. Several episodes later, I have joined a relatively small gym near my office and will start getting back in shape come tomorrow. Thank you for encouraging me from the distance without being all pushy. Just laid back, useful information that started building up until it made me take action. My kids and grandsons will thank you silently someday when I still have the energy to play with them. Love from the city of Eternal Springs, Guatemala.
Oh, my goodness. Like, I got the
I
chills.
did too. I actually
And
kind of salivated
yeah,
a little bit.
oh, he salivated.
Oh.
But when he mentioned his kids and grandchildren thanking what we're doing, that's just beyond words. And that means a lot to me. And thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of your life. Shout out to Guatemala.
Yep, Mr. Fisker.
Awesome, awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for leaving these reviews on iTunes. You know it means the world to us. Keep them coming. Appreciate it so
And
much.
to his grandchildren. How
So
about that?
now let's go ahead and dive into what we're talking about today. And by the way, guys, this topic is really driven by the fact that Sleep Smarter, the upgraded, expanded edition of the book, is coming out with my publisher, Rodale, March 15th. So go and pre-order the book right now if you haven't done so already. SleepSmarterBook.com. What are you waiting for? You can do it on your phone. Stop this right now and pre-order your book and be a part of this movement. And, you know, one of the big issues today is people are doing a lot more exercise. There's CrossFit boxes everywhere, right? People are really tuned in to improving their nutrition, but sleep is really still not getting the just credit that it deserves and really seeing how it transforms our body. And one of the big reasons that Sleep Smarter is such an important book today is that it's primed to actually change the landscape of health in our world today. There are thousands of people listening to this show right now who already have the first edition of Sleep Smarter. You're definitely going to want to get your hands on this new edition. There's twice as much mind-blowing content to help yourself and also your loved ones, your friends and family, to start getting the sleep that they really need and to optimize their health in all levels, including there's going to be tons of new research, the latest research into the impact that sleep has on your mind and body, how intensely nutrition and gut health impact your sleep. I did a whole chapter talking about that, and it's crazy. Simple daily tips and strategies to get amazing sleep every night to make that a consistent thing. And also, we added in a 14-day sleep makeover program that I just ran with the test group, by the way, that is there to help you to get the best sleep ever. So head over there, check it out, sleepsmarterbook.com. You're going to get access to some crazy bonuses. We're giving away to the first 300 buyers of the book packages, so you can get one copy or be generous and get multiple copies for the people you love. But with those book packages, we're giving away things like the Ease Magnesium. When we had
good.
Ian Clark
Yeah.
on the show, this is the magnesium, topical magnesium that you rub into your skin that I use every single night. I've been using for 3 years. And in this test group with the sleep makeover that we just did, and really seeing these people with dealing with issues from not being able to fall asleep,
Right.
right? Waking up at night, and then, of
Not
course,
sleeping well.
feeling wrecked when you wake up in the morning. So many stories out of everything in the program. That was the thing people noticed first when they start using the topical magnesium. So you get a free bottle of that if you buy a book bundle. So
Nice.
we've got an entry to win an IntelliBed. We're giving away, this bed
Oh,
costs
my
thousands of
goodness.
dollars, all right? We're going to give away 2 entire bed sets and just the whole thing, the bed, the box spring, and it's amazing. It's the bed that I sleep on, been sleeping on for 2 years. And I used to have this little issue with my SI joint.
Right.
And it's called SI joint dysfunction. And I had no idea that it was due to my mattress, right? And just having this, it's called mattress resiliency. And it was going away. And my mattress was expensive, but it just wasn't this bad. It
And
didn't have
many
this.
of us wouldn't know that for ourselves. So.
Exactly. So, and I actually talk
You
about
talk about
this
the type
in
of
Sleep
bed
Smarter.
in the book?
Sleep Smarter, yeah.
Of course.
I talk about this mattress resiliency, the importance of that, but more so the toxic exposure to mattresses with the flame retardants and the different things that it's treated with that have actually been clinically proven to cause some health problems. So you need to know about this stuff. So we're giving away a few beds. We're giving away supplements from On It. We're giving away the video series for Sleep Smarter for free. It's just amazing. $25 gift card to Thrive Market.
Food.
Head over there. Check it out, sleepsmarterbook.com. So today's show, this is all about the brain. And your brain is really the real deal. It's the master control center that's regulating virtually every single function in your body, from fat storage to cardiac function to detoxification. Your brain is literally controlling it all. Now, today you're going to learn how intimately sleep impacts your brain. And in particular, I'll be sharing with you 10 specific ways that great sleep will give you a better brain. So we're going to start with number 1. Great sleep will improve your memory processing. And so I want to start this by asking you a question, so what is learning? What is learning? Have you ever stopped to think about that? Well, learning really is basically creating a relationship between 2 things. It's taking something that you don't know and connecting with something that you do know. All right, so if I want to teach somebody how to do a proper plank, an exercise that's great for your rectus abdominis, your obliques, and your transverse abdominis, so all these different sections of your abs, right? To teach this exercise, I could say, okay, you get down into a modified push-up position on your elbows. Now make sure that your belly's not sagging, make sure your butt's not poking out, make sure your butt's not sagging, make sure your legs are locked, and all these different instructions. Or I can just say, get your body into a straight line, right? And you mentally, you know what a straight line looks like. From your head to your feet, get your body in a straight line.
Just make sure that the connection of my mind believing what a straight line is and my body doing what my mind says.
But it becomes something that's
Yeah.
now created in your mind, a rational connection.
Exactly.
He wants a straight line versus me giving you sections in different parts. Of course, we could tidy up the plank, Jade, but the bottom line is giving you that piece of data that you can link up to that you already know.
I would know where
So
to
let me
go.
give you another example.
Yeah.
When teaching someone to activate their glutes, we did a show talking about how people's buns can get sleepy,
Yes,
right?
they
The
can.
sleepy buns issue, and talking about the most important exercises that you need to do to have the body that you want. There's really only 5, and we talked about this in depth in that episode. We'll put in the show notes. But getting somebody to fire their glutes, so what does that even mean? Well, connected to something that you do know. Squeeze your butt. Just squeeze your butt together.
I
all
wonder
right?
how many people started squeezing their butt right there.
And that's going to make your glutes
Your butt.
activate, right?
Not
Activate your
somebody
glutes
else, not your neighbor.
versus something that you already know how to do. Another thing, driving. My 15-year-old son, he's just like, can we go get it?
I'm
Can we go get the permit? Can we go get the
He's
permit
ready.
tomorrow? On Fridays we get out of school, and just slow down. All right, slow down. But putting your hands on the steering wheel in the proper place. When we were growing up, apparently it's a little different
It is
now,
now.
but
Yeah.
it was to put your hands in a certain spot on the steering wheel.
10
And if
and
you
2.
tell somebody to put it at 10 and 2, like the the clock, right? The numbers on the clock. You know where 10 o'clock is, you know where 2 o'clock is. So you connected something that you didn't know to something
Right.
that you do know. That's where I put my hands.
Got it.
So I hope that makes sense.
It does.
Now, boom, we've created an association between two things. Your brain is automatically going to connect those things up and lay down more myelin to make that connection strong. But that's not all. And by the way, so we did a show where we dove in and broke down how you actually become more productive by utilizing the power of myelin. So myelin is an incredible insulation that strengthens the neural connections that you make through learning through your day and makes your learned information faster. It makes it fire faster and more readily available. Now, research published in the Journal of Neuroscience found that sleep seems to turn on genes known to play a part in the formation of myelin. Okay, so we're talking about, again, making those connections, which you've learned, your memories fire faster and more readily accessible. The process of memory consolidation occurs when connections between brain cells, as well as different regions in the brain, are strengthened. And for many years, it was believed that this is developed merely due to the passage of time. But more recently, it's been discovered that the time that you spend asleep plays a key role in preserving your memory. REM sleep in particular plays a special role in consolidating your short-term memory. So the things that you're learning today can become more of a part of who you are and a part of your solid structure of your brain by making sure that you're getting adequate REM sleep. All right, so there's multiple levels of sleep. There's 4 stages, essentially 5, depending on which expert you talk to. But it's a cycling between REM sleep and non-REM sleep and stages in between that. And REM sleep is the rapid eye movement sleep. This is where you're getting your dreamy on, your dreamy time. All right, so REM sleep plays a special role in consolidating memories, helping them to eventually become long-term memories. But if your sleep cycles are unhealthy, if they're disrupted, you're not getting normal sleep cycles, it will spell trouble for you being able to sustain. But if your sleep cycles are unhealthy, it will spell trouble for you being able to sustain and access what you want to remember. So you remember this. Learning is really a function of connecting one idea that you don't know to something that you do know. That process and that connection is solidified when you go to sleep at night. As more myelin, genes activate to lay down more myelin to make that connection strong. So you start to make that memory, something that you learned, a part of who you are. All right? Now, I hope that makes sense because this is so important. This is laying the foundation for some of the other things we're going to talk about. So that's number 1 on our list of the 10 ways that sleep can give you a better brain. And that's via memory processing. And we're going to refer back to this as we go through these different points in these top 10 ways because learning and memory processing, all these things are linked up. And learning is really going to be the consistent story that you're hearing about. So let's move on to number 2 on the list of top 10 ways that great sleep can give you a better brain. Number 2 is detoxification. Yes. Detoxification. And also, I'm going to put that in parentheses, and protection from mental disorders. Now, we have something known as the lymphatic system, and this is our extracellular fluid. We actually have 4 times more lymph fluid than we have blood. All right, so it's very important, this extracellular fluid, and it's a main channel for moving waste products throughout and out of your system. All right, so you want that lymph to be moving. And here's an important sidebar, guys, is that if you're not moving, your lymph isn't moving because it doesn't have a quote, pump like your circulatory system does. It moves when you move. All right, it's like a one-way valve and it's trying to move up your body. And this is why, quote, exercise is so important. Exercise being derived from the word exorcism to get the stuff out of you, get the goo out, so this is why exercise is so important. Now, here's the issue is that your brain is a closed system. Okay, your brain is a closed system. So there's something called the blood-brain barrier, and it doesn't allow for that lymphatic flow to go through to your brain. So your brain actually has its own semi-lymphatic system. It's actually called the glymphatic system.
I like it.
As a special shout out to the glial cells in your brain that help to regulate this process. And in Sleep Smarter, I share research conducted by the Center for Translational Neuromedicine at the University of Rochester Medical Center. And they discovered that during sleep, the glymphatic system becomes 10 times more active than during wakefulness. Okay, this system of detoxification for your brain, getting the stuff out, the metabolic waste, becomes 10 times more active when you're asleep.
big deal.
Right. So if you're not sleeping properly, your brain is not being able to detoxify and get these
Right,
metabolic
right.
waste out of that closed system.
So you wake up with junky brain.
And simultaneously, your brain cells are reduced in size when you're sleeping by about 60% to create more space for efficient clearance of these metabolic waste products. All right. So when you're sleeping, your brain cells actually shrink in size to make room to get rid of this goo.
Yeah, they
All
go
right.
home for the day like most people, and then let the crew come in and clean up the place.
But if you're not sleeping, these brain cells are just they're getting into a state of chronic inflammation. They're not being able to kind of move and get out of the way so that so that we can get this
Ooh,
stuff out of
waste.
the
Yeah.
system, right? So this is yet another reason why this is so critical. Research cited in the journal Science, very prestigious journal Science, found that the buildup of these wastes without proper removal reduces learning, impairs performance in specific cognitive tests, and prolongs reaction time. And many of these things are common causes of things like seizures
Oh
and
my.
Alzheimer's as well, this inability to detoxify. And what's really seen as the theory that's kind of leading the way right now is that Alzheimer's is a result of this inability to eliminate these metabolic waste products from the brain. All right, so again, we want to make sure that we're optimizing our sleep so that we can buffer and protect ourselves against these and for those individuals out there who've experienced this with family members or maybe any symptoms in your own life, you know that this is a very tough situation to deal with when we start losing mental faculties with the people that you love. So to help to stave off that condition, it's critical that you optimize your sleep on a consistent basis. This isn't anything to just look past anymore.
Right.
You know, it's built into your genetic program. Your body and your genes expect you to get high quality sleep. But in our world today, we've kind of forgotten that. And that's what really
Well, we
Sleep
put it
Smarter is about.
aside. And I think we're missing, and this is what makes the book so very well timed and much needed, is
Yeah.
because even if we have forgotten, if that had been forgotten generations ago, here we are
Yeah.
not even connected to it at all.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm going, oh, really? Because we would,
Yeah.
out of all the things that we would forgo, choose. I saw an Instagram today that had an old Dukes of Hazzard picture, and it had all the trucks, and then it had the red car, and then it was like, well, if you could only choose one, which would it be? And we often, well, I want to do this or get this done or have this amount of time or feel this much more productive, and we toss out the thing that would really make it possible for
Right.
any of the others. So
Yeah. It's so interesting that, today our science is just affirming what we know already historically, which is get your butt to sleep, get you some sleep. And we've got all these different
Nature did
studies
it
and looking at
first.
why is it so important? Because, it's a valid thing to see, find out what is really going on with sleep because it's so weird. It's like you're pretending to be dead in a weird way. It's a strange phenomenon, but it's been shown to literally be the place, and we're going to talk about this, that your body is transforming itself and becoming better if you allow it to. So
Ooh,
much
I
more
thought
stuff
of
to talk about there.
A butterfly in a cocoon, that we get the opportunity to
Yeah.
kind of incubate there
Yeah.
and reemerge with some freshness.
Absolutely. Oh, I like it. And by the way, guys, this is why I created Sleep Smarter and just working in my clinical practice and seeing people struggling with, issues ranging from diabetes to weight issues to mental health issues, and seeing their results transformed so dramatically once we got their sleep together. They could be eating a great diet, exercising, but if their sleep is messed up,
That's the
they weren't
third.
getting the results. And it's just like the floodgates would open once we got their sleep zoomed in.
You remember
And
that
so,
ultimatum you gave me, and you were telling me these are the three legs of the table, and without this, you might as well scrap the others. And I said, nah. I'm a believer, of course, now, but it was the nutrition, it was the exercise, and it was the sleep.
yeah, yeah.
There were no exceptions.
No exceptions. Yeah.
You said it's
I
not my
wasn't
fault.
gonna
That's
work with
how it
you.
is. You weren't wrong. That, yeah.
And you were like a little puppy. You were like a pound. Do you remember pound puppies?
I don't relate. No.
You know you
I
do.
know. I loved them. They were adorable. Their eyes. I know.
Yeah, you had that look. Or it could have been what is that from Shrek?
This is bad. No.
Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots.
He makes the
Yes.
eyes.
All right.
And you
so,
weren't hearing it. It didn't work. It usually works on everybody, but it didn't work. You said this is the deal. But
Yeah.
I tell you what, Sean, it has made all of the difference. They have the book, I have the book and you, but had you not said it, I think I probably was even at that end point where had I continued on, I would have crashed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I am eternally grateful for your stance
Well, thank you.
on
I
sleep.
received that. I received that.
But it
And
is
so,
that critical.
yeah, let's go ahead and move on. You're making me feel bashful
It's so
now.
true. You were there. You
So,
know what happened.
thank you, Jay. I received that, and I'm so grateful for just being able to see you flourish, and it means the world to me. Obviously. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on to the next point here. So, on the 10 ways that sleep is going to give you a better brain. Number 3 is it gives you improved focus.
Thank
Now, when you're sleep deprived, you get distracted easier. You already know this. Now, there was a new study that's published in the Journal of Applied Psychology, and they found that the less students had slept the night before, the more likely they were to wander off from their assigned task. Now, they found that there was a direct correlation that every minute of sleep that they got, they spent zero point zero 0.05 fewer minutes surfing the internet the next day. Okay, so
For every minute.
every minute of sleep they got, they spent less
Less
time
time
surfing the internet. All right, and this connection is also seen in the study with disturbed sleep was also seen to be a really strong connection because an hour of disturbed sleep would on average result in what they called quote cyber loafing during 20% of the assigned task.
I believe that.
All right, so having that
Kinda
sleep
eerie.
disrupted literally translates over into you being like, oh, what's that? And not really controlling, being able to focus and to get stuff done that you really want to. And you just find it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So with adequate sleep, you are in fact sharper, better able to concentrate and focus. And the results that you get are going to be seen as you're basically going to get more done. And it's going to be good work versus you having to go and clean up a bunch of problems that you're creating.
Right.
All right,
Right.
so that's number 3 is improved focus. And it's clinically proven high quality sleep is going to make you better able to focus. And couldn't you use some more focus in your life today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell them about what
So
you
people
were
are like,
teaching.
so some people are like, what can I use for my focus? What can I sleep? Get some
No,
sleep.
does that
What can I
come in a
use for my
bottle?
energy?
Yeah.
We're trying to treat symptoms, instead of addressing the root cause. And again, today we're talking about 10 ways that sleep gives you a better brain, but understand the principles for ensuring that you're getting that high quality sleep every single night. It's not about sleeping more, it's about sleeping smarter, is in Sleep Smarter, 21 proven strategies. And by the way, guys, I want to meet you. All right, I'm going to be on the
yeah?
book tour here
Oh, sweet.
coming up real soon. So on sleepsmarterbook.com, there's a tab at the top of the page, and you can check out where I'm going to be on the book tour. So we can hang out in person. We can get a hug going, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of stuff out there on the roads. Crazy giveaways that I've got to these different companies that I work with to give away. So I want to connect with you. I want to meet you in person. So head over to sleepsmarterbook.com and also check out when you're pre-ordering your book. Check out the book tour so that we can meet, and I would be just blown away and honored to be able to connect with you in person.
Super cool.
All right, and so that's number 3 on our list of top 10 ways that sleep, high quality sleep, gives you a better brain. Now, there was one other point that you wanted to ask about. What were you going to say?
Well, this was very eye-opening. Pardon the pun. But tell them about how we have the misconception that if we stay up
Yeah.
and so-called focus on this task or project for the next day, that we're going to get it done, we're knocking it out. But
Right.
really, the converse is true.
Right, yes. And so that speaks to, I've cited this study many times, and it's in the book. There was a study published in the Lancet, and it was done on physicians. So this was literally a physician study, and they had them to complete a task. And then they basically sleep deprived them for 24 hours, had them come back and do the same exact task. And what they found was that it took them 14% longer to do the same exact thing.
See?
And they made 20% more mistakes, right? So there's a difference between doing work and being effective, right? So we think that when we're staying up and we're pining away and just, quote, working our butt off to get a problem done or to get some work done, we're not really understanding that the work that we're doing is subpar. It's not the best of us.
That's right.
So
Subpar.
to make sure that you're giving the best of yourself to your work, to your family, and to your relationships. You want to show up as
To
the best of you.
yourself.
People don't want you. Your family doesn't want you. They want the best of you. That's all they really want. Not gifts, not more gifts. The best gift is you and showing up as the best version of yourself. So
You know
that's
what
number
that
three.
brings up too then is the best gift to yourself because you expect the best. So I say that because that's kind of where this celebration
Yeah.
idea is coming from now. If I'm hoping that I can wake up and go exercise or have my miracle morning like we talked about with Hal Elrod, if I'm up late and not getting the best in for myself, I'm not likely going to be any help to myself
Oh
that
my
morning.
goodness.
So yeah, our
Yeah.
family, our projects and all of that, but to the self we keep saying
Right.
we want to be and the
Yeah.
goals and dreams that we have for us.
Yeah. Treat yourself
Treat
to
yourself.
some good sleep. To some good sleep. So let's go ahead and move on to number four. Number four on our list of the 10 ways that great sleep can give you a better brain is faster learning. All right. So sleep translates directly to faster learning. Now, there's this old adage that says practice makes perfect. But then there's the upgraded, even more accurate adage that says perfect practice makes perfect. And that's really speaking to the power of myelin and doing a thing right over and over and over again. Now, that's all good, and much of that is really true, but both imply that motor learning occurs only during practice, and that is definitely far off track.
There's more.
Researchers have found that learning actually continues for at least 24 hours after stopping the practice that you were doing. In fact, there's a number of studies that have found significant gains in performance 24 hours later, even with no further practice. There was a team of neurophysiologists at Harvard that actually conducted a study where they found that sleep had a huge impact on learning. Group A was given a specific type of keyboard test that's similar to like tapping on a keyboard or playing a piano. And this test was given at 10 a.m. All right, so this is Group A, and there's going to be a Group B. So Group A was given this keyboard test at 10 a.m. Then they were retested every 4 hours. So at 2 p.m., 6 p.m., and 10 p.m. And there was no meaningful change, no really meaningful statistical change to speak of. There was some minor improvement, basically resulting likely from the continued repetition at each retest. Now, Group B was tested at 10 a.m. Then they were tested 12 hours later at 10 p.m. And what they found was that there was a 3.9% improvement. Now, here's where it gets interesting. But then they retested again the following morning after getting great sleep. And what they discovered was that they demonstrated an 18.9% improvement relative to their scores just 24 hours earlier. All right, so going to sleep brought them back
Yeah.
so much stronger, and they were actually almost 20% improved on that test, where the other group just pining away, keep practicing, there was no improvement really to be seen. All right, so that speaks volumes about you being able to learn faster by making sure you're optimizing your sleep. And the researchers were able to identify the exact phase of sleep that seems to be responsible for the associated performance improvements as well, which is namely in their study what they called and we call, quote, deep sleep. All right, so this is the non-REM sleep. This is where you're really getting the most anabolic hormone production. Reparative enzymes are going on. A lot of changes are happening physically to your brain in this deep reparative stage of sleep. So that's number four, faster learning, on our list of the 10 ways that sleep gives you a better brain. Let's move on to number five. Number five is better decision making. This is another way that great sleep is going to impact your brain. It has recently been distinguished that we have two distinct modes of thinking. Okay, two distinct modes of thinking. So these two different systems. System one is a fast, automatic, effortless, associative, and difficult to control or modified system of thinking. All right? And system two, which is the slower, serial, effortful, and deliberately controlled, relatively flexible, and potentially rule governed system of thinking. And we all have both of these systems. So Princeton psychologist and Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman revealed how our conscious thought processes are susceptible to being disrupted by irrational, subconscious influences.
Happens to me all the time.
So system one that's automatic can still run relatively well while you're sleep deprived. Okay, when you're sleep deprived, this kind of fast, automatic, associative, difficult to control or modify mind can act pretty on point. However, this can be manipulated. That system is associated with intuition, which intuition is very, very powerful phenomenon. But
And womanly.
this can be manipulated, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But system two, that's more analytical and deliberate, can be stalled significantly when you're not well rested. So this is the more, analytical part of your brain that helps to ensure that that decision has legs, that it actually is the best decision, looking at multiple parts rather than going off that just, we'll call it an emotional decision. All right.
Isn't it
So,
interesting how similarly the two systems and modes of brain operation are likened to the host of the Model Health Show? System one over here with the
so we're the two
intuition in
different
it. We
systems.
are the
Oh my
systems.
goodness. We're both. We're both. We
We
all
are
have both.
but it just it
So
it reminded me of how our modes go.
here's how they blend together, all right? And here's what's going on behind the scenes. And UC Berkeley did some brain imaging scans to really show this, is that when you're sleep deprived, your amygdala, a more primitive part of your brain that is kind of the earlier template for our brain, and we had brains evolve on top of that one. So the limbic brain kind of evolved there, and then the more evolved prefrontal cortex, insular cortex evolved. And that's the more, I'm sorry, not revolved, evolved, revolved around your brain, like Jupiter. So these evolved and really helped to create this more, quote, human brain and our ability to think external to circumstances, to have foresight and hindsight, to be able to create, to be able to think external from our circumstances and create better decisions that are for not just our own good, but the greater good of the planet and other species, other systems. This is very expansive and powerful mind. It's really a result of this prefrontal cortex. Now, during these studies where people were sleep deprived, the amygdala, this reptilian part of the brain, is really concerned about just survival of self. All right? That part of the brain was lit up like a Las Vegas stripper sign. It was lit up. It was popping. It was flaring. Now, the other issue is that the prefrontal cortex was cold. Right? That part of the brain had gone cold. So your more reactive part of your brain is running the show now when you're sleep deprived. So your decisions are going to be based more on that, more on emotion, more on survival, and you can't even help it. Now, here's how the instincts can serve you. So your instincts and intuition, they can serve you well, but they can be clouded, i.e., so you go into you're looking for a new house, right? And you've looked at 5 houses, and you just step in, when it's the one, right? Like this is the one.
Feels
Sometimes you
right.
have that feeling, but it might have been manipulated. Maybe they were just baking fresh cookies there to have that aroma that might have a neuroassociation to your childhood, right? Or maybe there's certain flowers or whatever the case may be. There's things that can manipulate your thinking and make you have these neuroassociations come up that are more reactive, that this is the right thing. And that part of your brain that's more evolved to help with the decision making is going to be dampened and turned down because you're sleep deprived. This is why, yet again,
Smell.
sleep is going to give you a better brain for so many different functions, including better decision making.
Nice.
So now we're going to move on to number 6 on our ways that better sleep can give you a better brain on our top 10 here. Number 6 is it's going to give you stronger emotional balance,
Yes.
AKA accurate responses to stress.
That area too. I love
So
it.
we just did an entire show dedicated to how sleep impacts your relationships and really talked about, in particular, sleep deprivation impacting your relationships. And in that episode, which we'll put in the show notes for you guys for sure, research was conducted by the University of California, Berkeley, that I referenced earlier. And they used fMRI scans to actually take a look at what's going on in the brain when exposed to negative stimuli. And what they discovered was that we are all 60%, and about 60% more reactive to negative stimuli when we're sleep deprived. Okay, 60% more reactive to negative things. Okay, so whether it's traffic, whether it's dirty dishes, whether it's something that your
Rain.
loved one had said, there's so many different things that you're going to have a tendency to overreact to. And the big issue is that the studies also showed that it was harder to get out of that place.
Man, once you go there.
Yeah, it's harder to turn it back off. Whereas it was shown that the individuals who were well rested, who were exposed to the negative stimuli, sure they reacted, but not that 60%, but also they were able to quickly transition
Recover.
out of that and recover from
Yeah.
that. And that's a big key. So studies have found that increased activity in the amygdala and the decreased activity in the higher order areas of the brain that we've been talking about leads to an increased negative mood consistently and a decreased ability to regulate those moods. So we're going to have a tendency towards anger,
Attitude.
depression, yeah, rage, all right, just sadness, these negative um, emotions that we tend to not want to have. These are all valuable emotions, but why kick yourself into those places easier simply because you're sleep deprived?
So here's an awareness you just brought to me then.
Hmm.
They're valuable emotions,
Yes.
and we'll tend to experience them more. And so we note those. Those are the big ones.
Yeah.
What about those little ones that may not be so valuable and unnecessary, like cynicism
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
sarcasm
And
and
irritation.
those things that just
Yeah.
create tension
Lack of
and conflict.
tolerance.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So let's go ahead
I
and
got a great
scrap
example.
them
I
out
was
of
just
there.
at the store, and there's this cool market here. It's sort of like a Whole Foods type market. It's a little bit closer to my house. It's called Lucky's Market.
Lucky.
Lucky's,
That's
right?
cute.
And
They got little
so,
casinos on the side. I don't know.
oh my goodness, always the gambler. You heard it here
You
first.
said Vegas first. You put the seed in my mind.
So, see that
The
neural
lights. It
connection.
did.
You
I
see
did.
that?
And how
Right
did I
there.
know?
So I went to Lucky's Market just to grab a couple of things while my wife was just leaving the gym. So I got out there a couple minutes earlier, grabbed some avocados, a couple of things. And I went to the checkout. You know how you're standing in line, and there was this really cute kid behind me, and she was with her grandmother. She's giving her grandma a hard time.
Right.
And I could tell the grandma just wanted to just kind of just make her stop, right? And so super cute kid behind me. But you know how you're standing in line and it's like a long line. There's one checkout person. There's like 8 people in line. And then they open the other register and they say the next person come over. And so I was the next person. I was a lucky next person. So I went over so I checked out. I was at the little card swipey part. Everybody knows about this part. And there was a lady who was two people down, and she got an attitude with the guy at the register. And she was just like, you know what? You should actually pinpoint who the next person is next time, and just like, just like giving him all this tude,
Wow.
right? And I'm just like, what? Like, why do that? You're right here. This lady behind you is just getting a bottle of water. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, well, you
But-
were the guy that was called.
Yeah, exactly. But the bottom line, and I could have been like, you talking to me?
Right.
Huh?
'Cause you
But
could've
I
been
was well
just as-
rested,
yeah.
and I know the lady meant no harm. She just wants to be happy,
Exactly.
But
She
and I
needed
knew
some
like,
sleep.
and she literally looked massively sleep
could see
deprived
it,
and
yeah.
unhealthy. It was written all over her face, and
And that
so I walked out of there with kind of a somber feeling and just like, what should I have done in that situation? And I really came back to just sending some hope and just kind of a well wish her way, a little prayer that she's going to be able to turn her day around.
Good,
But
and a sister like me would have went over and given her a copy of the Sleep Smarter book.
yeah, that's powerful to be able to have that,
That's
just
right.
kind of like a resource just to give people. But more so, of
Except
course,
for it's on pre-order.
soon.
Yeah.
But for our family, and I've seen this consistently that a lot of people like, well, I'm doing all these great things to improve my life and my health, but my family has been a little bit of a struggle to get on board. And this is why, again, creating the Model Health Show and being able to share that resource without a bunch of instruction, like, here, just click play,
Right.
or here's his book,
Yeah.
versus trying to convince somebody, because what's said is that you can't be a prophet in your own land,
That's what it said, yes.
which is,
I
it
believe
doesn't
that.
have to be all the way true, but a lot of times because people are close to you, we tend to have this kind of like apprehension towards really listening when you're going outside of the paradigm that they're used to.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that we're doing things to make it so that our friends and family and the loved ones in our circle are all educated on the importance of getting high quality sleep, so that everybody's showing up better. Because from that last episode we talked about, and I shared even stories from my family, it happens. You're going to have this tendency towards being harder to be around and experience less positive emotions when you're sleep deprived. So
Sure.
we got to
Which
change this
is
around.
all the more reason why you should get the bundle, because then you can get books for everybody and help them be on their
True.
way. See?
True. You. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to number 7 on our list of the 10 ways that great sleep can give you a better brain. And 7 is by helping your brain to produce more beneficial hormones.
Give it up.
All right, so hormones are the deal. All right, every feeling that you feel is a result of a hormone doing a job. Hormones are chemical messengers that communicate messages between all of the cells in your body. All right. So if that cellular communication is disrupted and it's not on point, it's not working properly, then the stuff can really hit the fan. All right. That 100 trillion cell community can become civil unrest. All right.
Good, right.
So we want to make sure that that communication is up to par. So many of the most important hormones that your system produces are produced via your brain.
Okay.
All right. So number one, in relationship to sleep, the pineal gland, which is located in the center of your brain between the two hemispheres. Okay, between the two hemispheres of your brain, this gland synthesizes and secretes melatonin. This is it's a pretty simple hormone, but it communicates information about your environmental lighting, all right, to various parts of your body. So it helps to regulate your body clock. And ultimately, melatonin has the ability to manipulate all of your biological rhythms. Right?
All of
So
them.
what time, because our bodies are synced up with nature, and there's a certain time we're producing certain hormones, certain digestive enzymes. Melatonin is a driver of that whole system. All right, so we want to make sure, and by the way, again, I mentioned that it's communicates information about environmental lighting. How is this gland in the center of your brain picking up light?
Yeah. Three
Right? This is
eyes.
why it's often referred to as, quote, the third eye. And it has the ability to pick up and communicate information based on the light you're exposed to. This is why we want to make sure that we're honoring our natural evolutionary biology, what our genes are expecting of us with exposure to light. You know, we've talked about that several times in past episodes because you're literally going to be controlling what your melatonin is doing, all right, based on the light you're exposed to. So, but this episode isn't about how to tweak that. This is just about how sleep is benefiting your brain. So again, all of this is in Sleep Smarter, and we really dive in and talk about that. And we've, of course, talked about it many times on the show in the past. So sleep and melatonin go hand in hand. They're like peanut butter and lamb sandwich, right? Shout out to Big Daddy, if anybody's seen that one. Spaghetti and meatball. You like spaghetti and meatball? Hip Hop Anonymous? All right, so sleep and melatonin go hand in hand, but also another one is HGH, all right, human growth hormone. And again, whenever we say this, it's a preface with we're not talking about Marion Jones. We're not talking about Barry Bonds. And I think a lot of that PED went to his head because his head got so big, right? This big peanut, this big chocolate peanut M&M, right?
Not
And
M&M.
he started off with one head,
Right.
and his body was smaller, but then his body got bigger and his head got way bigger.
Or-
Anyways, but
Yeah.
shout out to baseball. Shout out to baseball. But we're not talking about that kind of HGH. We're talking about that's produced endogenously. That's your pituitary gland, which is actually at the base of your brain, that is secreting and releasing to your body human growth hormone, and is based largely on, guess when your body's producing the vast majority?
During one of these quality sleep
During
cycles.
sleepy time. During
Yes.
sleep is when you're going to be producing max HGH. And the stuff you do during the day, and again, I really like to say this and get this in the public lexicon, is that a great night's sleep starts the moment you wake up in the morning.
How about that?
Okay? A great night's sleep starts the moment you wake up in the
Nice
morning.
shirt.
So what the research has indicated is that things that you do during the day will help you to produce even more human growth hormone at night. And strength training, resistance training is one of those things. All right, so but they go hand in hand. They're coupled with getting that high quality sleep. And sleep is actually known as the anabolic state. All right, the anabolic state. So what does that mean? Well, catabolism, that is the breaking down of things. It's the breaking down of your muscle tissue, your hormones, old cells, catabolic. Basically, just being awake is catabolic. All right. Anabolism is the building up of things, the growth of things, the development of things. And we need both. Like both of these things help to create this universe and also the universe that you are. You know, this, again, this ebb and flow, this yin and yang / yin and yang for those who pronounce it like that. You say potatoes, I say
Potato,
potatoes.
yin and yang.
Right? And all of this really governs how everything is run, governs the universe itself. So we want to make sure that we're doing things to create hormetic stressors. These are beneficial stressors like exercise that if rested properly, you come back better, right? You need that part too. Like things have to break down in order for new things to grow. All right? It's this magical thing. But if you don't get the growth part, if you're not getting great sleep, and this is why with tip number 7 here, or point number 7, is the production of more beneficial hormones happens is in particular with your brain while you're sleeping. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to number 8. We're getting close here. So number 8 on our list of 10 different ways that better sleep gives you a better brain is via learning and improved motor tasks. Okay? So there's such thing as what's called muscle memory, quote muscle memory, but sort of, all right, sort of. It's really brain and nervous system memory that causes the muscles to react effectively and faster.
Okay,
Right? That's
that
what it
makes sense.
really is, all right? Now, new research has pinpointed the brain wave frequencies and brain regions associated with sleep enhanced learning. By cycling through the various brain waves during sleep, it's improved physical learning and improves movement as well overall. So this being able to cycle through these different brain waves is how we're able to learn and really flourish and kind of flesh out these new motor patterns that we're learning during the day. So this is cycling through the different brain waves, which are beta, alpha, theta, and delta, all which are discussed in Sleep Smarter. And to really help you to pinpoint and really drill down on how we're improving our motor skills and how that relates to your brain and your nervous system actually showing up in the real world, I'm going to read a selection here for you from the brand new Sleep Smarter.
You're so
And
nice.
this is in chapter 11, Train Hard But Smart. And this subsection here is called Sleep and Athletic Performance. It's not surprising that world-class athletes utilize sleep as part of their overall training programs. Athletes like LeBron James, Roger Federer, and Michelle Wie average more than 10 hours of sleep per night.
Dang.
Venus Williams, Lindsey Vonn, and Usain Bolt hardly go a day without getting at least 8. Fatigue science gathered statements from some of the top athletes on the planet, and Usain Bolt, the fastest man in history, said, "Sleep is extremely important to me. I need to rest and recover in order for the training I do to be absorbed by my body." This quote perfectly states how your body doesn't change from the training alone. It changes based on the quality of sleep that you get. Researchers at Stanford University actually set out to examine the benefits of sleep on athletic performance. The test subjects were members of the men's varsity basketball team, and the results they saw were absolutely shocking. After increasing the amount of sleep that they got, with the average ending up at about 8.5 hours, board-certified sleep specialist Michael J. Bruce, PhD, laid the data out like this. The athletes ran significantly faster. Players shaved nearly 1 full second off of their sprint times. Their shooting improved dramatically. Players saw their free throw shooting and their three-point shooting improve by 9%. They felt less fatigue and less daytime sleepiness, and improved their reaction times as well. They reported an improvement in their moods and their overall physical well-being during both games and practice. If you want to perform at your best, then getting great sleep is an absolute must. It's a competitive advantage that we all have access to if we choose it and structure our time wisely. Remember, it's not just about sleeping more, it's about sleeping smarter. And the tips below are going to help you to do just that.
Well,
And so I go on to share some tips for that specific chapter that we covered for people to go and implement, because it's really about having actionable things, not just knowing about the data, but that data right there really speaks to the power that they weren't practicing more. They just got better sleep and ended up shooting 9% better on their free throws and three-pointers. How remarkable is that, if you really think about it? Running 1 second faster on their sprint times simply because they're sleeping better.
and that
You
could
know,
be the difference between a championship in some cases
exactly. You just said it. It can be the difference between a career.
or a gold medal,
Right.
as Jackie Joyner Kersee can
Yeah,
tell us.
exactly. And we want to make sure, and that's what the power of this message is about. We want to change the paradigm of what's going on with our families. We want to change the paradigm of what's going on with our health professionals, and looking at, I did several studies that I cited on the impact that this has on nurses being sleep deprived, and just the system is set up in a way that's not advantageous to them being healthy and better able to serve our public service professionals, firefighters, policemen. We really have to do a better job in understanding that our structure of sleep and our respect of sleep needs to be brought to the table. It needs to be added to the fold to help people to optimize this thing so that we can all show up again. We're showing up better in our jobs,
Right.
especially if we're dealing with the public, and of course, as you mentioned, for ourselves, for us to live our life and to feel as good as possible. It's so important. So that's number 8 on our list is improving learning and improving motor task via getting better sleep, thus having that better brain. All right, we're going to move on to number 9. All right, we're getting close. Just one more after this one. So number 9 on our list of 10 ways that better sleep gives you a better brain is that you get a boost in consistent creativity.
Yes.
All right. The majority of studies on sleep and creativity have shown that sleep can facilitate insightful behavior and flexible reasoning. The best evidence we have on our creative mental state when we're asleep is that strange phenomenon we call dreaming. Now, a lot still remains unknown about dreams, but we know one thing is for certain is that it's kind of weird, right? Dreams are weird.
Yeah, they
You can
are.
end up, on a
I can tell you, I've been on a mini pirate ship and turned around. I was on an escalator.
you went
2
right,
minutes later.
right.
It's so strange.
I'm doing an interview and I'm wondering like, what happened to my shirt?
Where's my pants?
Where's my pants? There's crazy dreams, people have their teeth are falling out
Yep.
and dreams where you're
I
flying.
can fly if I
You know,
treadmill.
you're
if I
you're literally
tread
we don't
water.
have wings, even with Red Bull. So it's like we have kind of Imagineer, to use that word from Disney, this incredible world with our minds, while we're sleeping. And there's a study conducted, and just to kind of take this a step further, and we're going to come back. There's a study conducted in cooperation with the Sleep and Neuroimaging Laboratory, Department of Psychiatry, in Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center that found that sleep has the power to foster, quote, unusual connections or remote associations and this is what the psychologists were calling them. So unusual connections and remote associations. So this
That's
is linking up
creativity.
things that might not normally go together in your mind with your imagination and your creativity being able to flourish. And a lot of this is happening during sleep. In fact, upon waking from sleep, people are 33% more likely to make connections between seemingly distant related ideas. This could lead to some major, quote, aha moments
Right.
when you wake up in the
Breakthroughs,
morning. You've
discoveries,
heard that thing of sleep on
inventions.
it,
Yeah.
right? But really what's happening is you're going to be more creative. And a lot of people find that when they wake up in the morning, it's their most creative time. But then there, of course, is the, quote, night owls who say, I have the muse visit me in those late hours. But, according to the research, 33% more likely to make some connections between seemingly distant related ideas after getting some good sleep.
I love that.
Now, this leads to the radical increase in an ability to problem solve as well. When you can think external from your circumstances, something I mentioned earlier. And it really calls for creativity to be there. Because, for example, if you're struggling financially, if you need to find a way to make, $5,000 in order for a medical procedure for somebody you love, you will find a way, and it's about how much can you give? How creative can you be? How flexible can you be in your thinking? Because the solution has always been there, but we haven't been linking up until we force it, or it's going to have a tendency to be there more readily available when we're getting high quality sleep. Okay, it's right there in black and white in
And
the
that's where I
research.
feel like that term is best applied. That go sleep on it. Don't worry yourself staying up, anguishing. Sleep on it and see how things look in the morning.
Yes. And now dreams, even though they may seem to be weird, this just because they don't make any sense to our rational waking consciousness doesn't mean that they are purposeless. And so a lot of the new research is because people have been wondering about dreams since the beginning of time, of human history, like what's
Kings
going
would
on.
have kings would have prophets interpret them.
And so what does this fish mean? Oh, well, you're going to have a baby. All right. So here's the
water
thing is that
dreams.
what research is really indicating is that dreaming is a way of your brain to problem solve and to sort out data that it's been exposed to, especially during that day. And again, we go back to the memory processing that we talked about earlier, a way for your brain to make sense of things, a way for your brain to consolidate information and create those deeper connections. But you're like, what's it got to do with me, jumping out of a tree and then having Go-Go Gadget springs come out of my Nikes, like whatever crazy thing we're thinking about. this process of dreaming is a really amazing thing. And there's a lot more research to be done on this subject, but just understand you need to get that dream time. It's important for your health and well being. Cycling through those stages of REM sleep and non REM sleep naturally and normally, consistently, is really going to help to add a whole new component to your mental faculties and for your brain and to boost your creativity as well.
Love
So
that.
that's number
So,
9.
producer most certainly would want to get quality
We
sleep.
need you. Model Health Nation, we need
That's
you.
right.
All right, so let's move on. We're at number 10, guys.
Model
So
health sleep.
on our list of the 10 ways that great sleep can give you a better brain, number 10 is balanced brain blood sugar.
Tongue
Research
twister.
Research cited in Sleep Smarter found that after 24 hours of sleep deprivation, there is a 6% reduction in glucose reaching your brain. So basically, your brain is starting to starve. And when that happens, that energy drain isn't shared equally within the brain either. You can actually have a reduction of 12 to 14% of the glucose reaching your prefrontal cortex when you're sleep deprived. So this is the more, again, evolved, rational decision making, distinguishing between right and wrong part of your brain. And in essence, it is starting to starve and it's starting to basically, what's going to happen is you're just going to get dumber. All right. You're going to show up as the Lloyd Christmas version of yourself. All right. Minus the chip tooth. You're going to show up as the person who is just a shell of your true self. And
Which way did he go, George?
and so we really want to understand that this is also leading to poor decisions with our food because, and we've talked about this on previous shows, that when your brain is sleep deprived, this is an evolutionary danger. Like a big red flag is going to go off because even though we're comfy cozy, most of us listening today, but though much of the world is not, we are in a situation where we can manufacture stress. We don't really have these stresses around us, but all of us just a couple hundred years ago were basically at the mercy of what was going on around us in the environment because we didn't have these very evolved kind of concrete jungles, to hide out in. And so you being able to procure your food, you being able to hunt, you being able to find shelter, this is built into your evolutionary biology that you need to be able to get those jobs done to keep your gene pool moving on. And if there is a drop in your ability to do so because you're not getting glucose to your brain, it's going to be an immediate red flag. And so if you've ever had a cookie, if you've ever had ice cream, if you've ever had anything sweet, your brain knows that it can get a quick source of glucose to shuttle that back to your brain. All right, to kind of, again, this is evolution versus your willpower. All right, you're
right.
telling yourself, I'm not going to eat this ice cream. I'm not going to eat these cookies. I'm not going to eat these potato chips. But if you're sleep deprived, you're going to be compelled to do so. And next thing you know, you're guilty. Like, let me see your fingers. You got orange Cheeto fingers, right? The cheesy poos.
That's right.
It's my cheesy poos. All right, you got the cheesy poos fingers, right? And it's because you were tired and you told yourself, I'm not going to eat this stuff. I'm going to eat real food. I'm going to exercise. And you find that you start to fall off of these things much easier if you're not getting high quality sleep. And so,
Shouts out to South Park.
shout out to South Park. And so this leads to this really profound understanding that in order to have the body that you want, in order to have the mental faculties that you want, because truly all of your actions stem from the function of your brain, all right? Everything that's going on with everything down when you look down, your brain is controlling that. So we want to take care of our brain. And to do so, the ultimate number one thing is making sure we're taking care of our sleep. So I appreciate you guys so much for tuning into the show. Make sure to share this with people that you care about. And make sure, another call to action, don't wait. Don't be like, I forgot to get the book, Shawn. I keep, do it now. Head over right now to sleepsmarterbook.com and be a part of this movement because I need you with me. This is one of the most important moments in my life. And if I've ever delivered any value to you in your life, this would be a way to kind of pay it forward by investing in this movement and this mission right now the book is in pretty much every major health magazine. So we're going to be in Men's Health, Women's Health, Muscle and Fitness, Oxygen, so many different platforms, but also the major media and TV stuff that I can't wait to tell you guys about coming up. We're really working here to change the paradigm and the landscape of health in our country today, and you are part of that. And it means the world to me that you are. So make sure that
It
you.
means the world to him that you sleep well tonight.
Oh,
I
look at
mean,
that.
every
Yes,
day you
yes.
wait is another night gone
Yeah.
without the advantage of all that info.
They call it beauty sleep for a reason.
Beautiful.
So, but again, I just appreciate you so much. So please head over now. Don't wait. SleepSmarterBook.com and be a part of this with me and check out the tour dates because I want to meet you in person. That would be super amazing. All right.
Thrillsville.
Everybody, I appreciate you. I hope you got a lot of value out of today. And these are things, again, you can always refer back to. This is evergreen that I put my heart and soul into you for you guys. And we've got this amazing production team here. And Jay's making sure she's getting her sleep on.
I am.
So you can show up and make sure we keep getting these shows to you guys. We've got some amazing things coming up this year. So stay tuned. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk with you soon.